There was a massive explosion. I mean, something the likes of I've never seen before.
It felt like an earthquake followed by a huge blast that blew out the windows in this, what was once our studio. We understand that the hospitals are overwhelmed at this point. This is the absolute worst thing that could have happened to Lebanon at this stage.
The reporter for the Los Angeles Times here in Beirut had tweeted a picture of a fire in the port itself. And just about 15 minutes later, after he tweeted that picture, that video, there was a massive explosion. I mean, something the likes of I've never seen before. The windows of the CNN bureau have been completely blown out. I'm looking at the buildings all around me. Many windows are also smashed. There's lots of glass and other debris in the street. There is still smoke rising from the port, and there was an odd red cloud hanging over the downtown district of Beirut.
Well, this explosion took place in the port area. It was preceded by some sort of fire. It appears in a warehouse, which, according to the official Lebanese national news agency, contained fireworks. But what we felt, and in this building, this is where CNN's office used to be, it felt like an earthquake followed by a huge blast that blew out the windows in this, what was once our studio, and the window frames as well. Just panning the camera around, you can get an idea of the level of damage that happened. And this damage, of course, is duplicated throughout much of central Beirut, and in fact kilometers from here. I've spoken to people in the neighborhood of Jamaisi, which is closer to the port, told me of a scene of total destruction where all the windows were blown out. Car windows were shattered. We understand that the hospitals are overwhelmed at this point with the wounded. They are calling for people to donate blood if they can. I just got off the phone with a friend here in Beirut who said throughout the entire time she's lived here, through wars with Israel, through the civil war, never has she experienced and felt an explosion this large. And the same goes for me. I've been through wars here, civil wars, nothing along the lines of this explosion. I can still hear sirens just outside me in central Beirut. And so clearly there's still an effort to pick up as many of the injured as possible. There's no question there are hundreds of injured, dead. No doubt there are dead, but we don't know at this point we don't have any clear number of that. The authorities, challenged in the best of times, are struggling to try to come to terms with what has happened, to treat the injured and to get to the bottom of what happened this evening in Beirut. Initially, I thought it was an earthquake. Beirut has had earthquakes in the past. I thought that's what it was, but of course it was followed by this massive explosion which blew out the windows in this room, the windows next to us, our front glass doors, our neighbors. Every building in this area has lost its windows, the frames blown out, and this is an area not adjacent to the port. It's well over a kilometer away from here to get there, but it has caused just massive damage in a city that has seen troubles before, but this is certainly something that has left people in a real state of shock. Added up all together, before this explosion happened after 5 p.m. this evening, Lebanon had enough troubles as it is, plus COVID. The country is about to go into, it's in a partial lockdown already to stop what has been an alarming increase, almost a tripling of the number of cases since the beginning of July of coronavirus. So certainly this is really just hitting a country when it's down, this explosion. that has happened, causing no doubt hundreds of millions of dollars in damage. Since the beginning of July, the number of recorded coronavirus cases has almost tripled to around 5,000, with more than 60 dead. Now, these numbers, compared to many other countries like the United States, might seem very small, but given this country's social, economic, financial, and political crises, it may be something, if there's a serious outbreak, the country simply can't deal with. In March, Lebanon defaulted on a $1.2 billion Eurobond, the first time the country ever defaulted. Since then, the local currency has lost much of its value. Lebanon's government has never been able to provide its citizens with a reliable power supply. These power cuts are wreaking havoc with those already beleaguered hospitals, which are grappling with the coronavirus outbreak. The Rafiq al-Hariri University Hospital, a public hospital, is one of the main institutions dealing with COVID-19. It has had to turn off the air conditioning in non-essential wings to conserve power. One day, the hospital director told us they had to use almost a month's worth of fuel to keep their generators running when city power was cut. With coronavirus numbers growing steadily, the director of the hospital, Dr. Firas Abyad, has warned that Lebanon is in danger of losing control. The American University of Beirut Medical Center is one of Lebanon's premier hospitals and was able to function continuously throughout the country's 15-year civil war. For decades, it has treated patients from across the Middle East, but in July, faced with rising costs and falling revenues, it fired 850 employees. We've heard that the Hotel Dieu, which is one of the main hospitals here in Beirut, has received at least 400 injured. The Rafiq Hariri University Hospital, the director there, is tweeting that they've received around 60 injuries. And of course, that's just two hospitals. Multiple witnesses are telling us about people being treated in the street, walking wounded, people conducting CPR on injured in the street, and just the destruction everywhere is massive. This is the absolute worst thing that could have happened to Lebanon at this stage. I'm Ben Wiedemann, CNN, reporting from Beirut.
The town of Region is dying. I said, if someone doesn't do something, this community will be a dead community. I have a paved road from interstate to region. Now what do I do to bring people down 30 miles? Then it dawned on me, nobody's going to drive 30 miles for normal sculptures, but they might drive for the world's largest. I started the Enchanted Highway in 1989. I've been at it for 28 years, and it takes me roughly about 4 to 5 years to do one sculpture. The first year, local ranchers taught me how to weld. I put in 8 hours a day to get one sculpture done. I use old oil well tanks. I cut them open and I flatten it out, and that's 90% of my metal. It's a passion project right now. I started with the world's largest tin family. The man is 45 feet tall, the woman is 43 feet, and the boy is 23 feet. Geese in Flight has over 300 lengths of oil well pipe on, over 15 miles of weld on it, and is in the Guinness Book of Records the world's largest scrap metal sculpture. It's something I will continue on till I'm 6 feet under. And then I hope it continues on after that. I want people to see that this guy who didn't know how to weld, didn't have an art class, If he can create something like this, I can do most anything.